madam. Well, this has been a long and exhausting trial. However, it would seem that at last we have arrived at the truth. Inspector Gregson, what of Mr. Ashley Graydon? He's been restrained, my lord, and is being escorted to the yard. He'll be charged with the murder of Mr. Windybank and the stealing of government secrets. Very good. And you, Inspector. Regrettably, you will have to face charges yourself. Yes, my lord, of course. It transpires that you were complicit in helping a criminal escape justice. That fact remains, whether or not you are doing so in the line of duty. The crime is a serious one, Inspector, and it's inexcusable. Now to the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. Ah, yeah? It is time for the final adjudication. Is the jury ready, Mr. Foreman? Yes, sir! Garrett Up Squadron standing by, sir. This is really it now. The last push, the final call, the finishing whistle. My men are ready to deliver the verdicts. Thank you, Mr. Foreman. Very well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. You will now declare your final decisions to the court.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Oh. Wir haben's durch, Leute. Wir haben's durch. Poggers. Hahaha, that's the stuff. I am off the hook. Finally, you finally managed to do it. Finally is the word. I really wasn't sure if we'd come out on top for a while there. Susie was right. You're the best lawyer in the world. Miss Lestrade, I am not finished with you yet. Eh? What? What are you looking at me like that for? Before you start enjoying your freedom, there are certain other crimes to consider. Eh? 2 months ago, in my courtroom no less, you gave false testimony, did you not? And in relation to the trial today, not only did you unlawfully enter Windybank's pawnbrokery, you also attempted to abscond with Mr. McGillis' property, it seems. Eh? I never done nothing of the sort. Of course not. It's not like you were gleefully wearing McGillis' coat in your cell yesterday or anything. Oh, and just when I was getting excited about throwing a party for Jenny this evening, and turning our attention to the defense, determining that when played together, the music box disc contained a message in Morse code was, well, it was certainly a most unexpected revelation, counsel. Quite so, my lord. The prosecution was caught entirely off guard. In fact, I think we should applaud my learned friend's courage here today. I propose a toast. To demanding that government secrets be disseminated before the entire court. Aha! Very sorry about that. It was the only way that I could get Inspector Gregson to admit what he'd done, so... If I may say something on that point, isn't that... It's, about the sound produced by the music box before. I do wonder if that was really Morse code at all. What? What are you saying, madam? Oh, well, it's just that I'm really rather fanatical when it comes to Morse code, you see. So much so that the whole world seems to be covered in dots and dashes for me, in fact. Goodness, madam. An unhealthy level of obsession, one fears. But I must say, in my opinion, the sounds produced by those 2 discs were nothing more than that. A meaningless series of 2 different tones. What? Can that really be? Also, it wasn't Morse code after all. Aber was war es dann? Der Inspektor hat ja trotzdem drauf reagiert. Oder haben wir einfach nur geblufft? My lord, the defense would like to listen to the music box again. Are you off your nut? How many times do I have to tell you? Those discs contain ministerial secrets, sunshine. This courtroom is not an appropriate forum to discuss the nature of the government communications. We know McGillis conspired to trade national secrets with our enemies. Secrets acquired from Mr. Graydon. Now that the man has admitted to his crimes, we have no need to pursue the matter further. But it's really going to bother me. Miss Lestrade. Yeah, milord. That which you have seen today here in this courtroom has been extremely disturbing. Falsified evidence, intimidation, perjury, a grim catalogue of depravity. An appalling experience to befall any child. Come on, it ain't nothing I don't see most of the days in the back slums. I beg your pardon. If you're weak, you pay for it. That's just how life goes. Gina. But look, I reckon I've worked something out today. The world ain't fair, but if you wanted to change, you've gotta start at home. You've gotta change how you are yourself. Well, that's a very laudable lesson, I would say. True. I eagerly look forward to the born-again Mr. Straight never gracing my courtroom with their presence again. Now, with regard to the murder of Mr. Pop Windybank, proprietor of a pawnbroker with business on Baker Street, I hereby declare the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, not guilty. Yeah! Also. That is all. Court is adjourned. Auf Wiedersehen, Richter. Bis zum nächsten Spiel. Was machen wir noch hier? On a personal note, I must say you've surprised me, my Far Eastern friend. Oh! Despite being a Nipponese, you saw through the pretense of the malice that festered within the Englishman, and at the same time, saw through the grime to the surprising heart of your English client. You have a curious talent for judging character, especially considering our very different cultures. I don't think there's anything curious about that. Whether we are from the Empire of Great Britain or the Empire of Japan, we are all human beings. We are not so very different on the inside. Das muss man dem Rassisten jetzt hier auch sagen. Also ich will nicht sagen, dass er ein Rassist ist, aber er hat auf jeden Fall ein paar diskriminierende Ansichten. Vielleicht ist er doch rassistisch, ja. You know, I took this case for one very simple reason. To lock swords with you once again here in the courtroom. You did. When I encountered you for the first time 2 months ago, it reminded me of toasting friendship and trust with another Nipponese, only to find my trust betrayed. Through you, I helped you to look into the eyes of the man I once knew and try to understand. Okay, also kannte einen Japaner? You mentioned something similar earlier today, about total betrayal at the hands of the Japanese. What happened exactly? Well, you may ask, and one day, when the time comes, you will learn the answer, whether you like it or not. Oh, ist das Setup für den zweiten Teil? Alright then, I'll wait for that day if I must. Coming to be known as the Reaper of the Bailey, and my retirement from service 5 years ago, it gives me cause to wonder if our meeting has some deeper purpose. So, farewell, my learned Nipponese fellow, until we meet again. Das ist doch Setup für den zweiten Teil, ganz safe. April, 5:24 p.m. The Old Bailey, Defendants Antechamber. Das ist schon ziemlich spät, 17 Uhr schon. It's done. It's over at last. But where's Iris disappeared to? Ah! Congratulations, Gina. I knew it all along. I knew that you were innocent. Well, you did what you said, Mr. Naruto. You believe in me. Right up to the end. Yes, Odd is your name. What's odd about it? I told you I had faith in you, didn't I? No one ever has before, see? Kept the promise, I mean. Properly. That's awful. I figured something out today. All my life, growing up in the slums, I've never trusted no one. But that's just cause I've been scared of being stabbed in the back. I mean, the more you trust someone, the more it hurts when they let you down. Yes, I think I can understand that. After all, I had a taste of it in the trial 2 months ago. I chose to trust someone and paid for it. That betrayal left a big scar. You know though, Gina, I worked something out quite recently too. Trusting in someone else is really an exercise in learning to trust yourself. And when your gut tells you it's the right thing to do, and your trust is rewarded, there's no better feeling in the world. I think I have you to thank for reminding me of that valuable lesson. Trusting in someone else is really an exercise in learning to trust yourself. Oh, well, if you say so. Don't make a fat lot of sense to me though. I'm trying to say that putting my faith in you, Gina, has been a real pleasure. For crying out loud, pack it in! But I suppose I sort of feel the same way. I mean, sometimes trusting someone else is, you know, alright. Thanks. This is the way I see it, Ryunosuke. A defense lawyer is only as good as his faith in his client. And that comes down to how much faith he has in himself. After this experience, I'm starting to feel like I understand what you mean. Kazuma, am I living up to your expectations? Am I turning out to be the lawyer you believed I could be? Pardon the interruption. But what the deuce does a man have to do to be noticed around here, my dear fellow? That voice! It's too late for that voice now, Mr. Naruto. I've been standing here patiently in the corner of the room for an eternity. Ah, yes, it was me all along. I would have said when finally you noticed me. But you people, with your incessant babbling. Ha, Mr. Sholmes! Ah, yes, it was me all along. You see? I'd assumed you'd been taken back to the hospital, to be honest. Indeed, I was, but I managed to escape again. Oh. I happened to be aware of 1 or 2 foibles of the doctor who was tending to me. I merely made my knowledge of them known to the man, and he happily issued me with a leave of absence. How very above board. But enough of my adventures. That was a fine victory, Mr. Naruto. Your tireless efforts justly rewarded, I fear. Congratulations are in order. As a close friend, I tip my hat at you. Oh, thank you. Some great detective here. Great at being cold as ice, maybe. Have I irked you in some way, Mr. Straight? While you've been having a snooze in your nice soft bed, some of us have been fighting for our lives. Ah well, that bullet did cause me to lose a substantial amount of blood, it's true. So I have indeed been feeling somewhat cold. Not perhaps as cold as ice, but... well, have a fear. Could you take your hands off my neck, please, Mr. Sholmes? Oh Mann, der Klassiker. Oh, guck mal, meine Hände sind kalt. And in some way, I suppose, congratulations are in order for you too, Miss Lestrade. What's that supposed to mean? Why so half-hearted? Well, naturally, it isn't my intention to alarm you, but... An acquittal in a trial with that particular prosecutor is perhaps a little precarious. Well done, Mr. Jones. Not alarming in the slightest. Oh, the Reaper, you mean? Because anyone who's found not guilty in a trial he was working on winds up dead anyway. Is that it? The very point I was trying to make. Oops. It's exemplified by the fate of Mr. McGill, in fact. Ah, but of course, I pay no attention to such irrational drivel myself. Yeah, well, it don't bother me. Oh, really? Course not. The way I see it, the Reaper's a bit like I'm upstairs. Him upstairs? You mean like God? So him upstairs, okay. Yeah, him upstairs knows what's what, right? He knows what people are like on the inside. He won't ever get the wrong end of the stick. There are some cows like that bog trotter what are rotten to the core. At the end of the day, him upstairs makes sure they get what they deserve. I suppose that's one way of looking at it. Divine justice is one thing though, the Reaper taking matters into his own hands and claiming lives is another. Well, I ain't like the McGildeds of this world, so I ain't scared. I got principles, see? A trait in you which is to be admired, Mr. Straight. Oi, just give it the rest, alright? As I was saying, congratulations are in order. The news of your acquittal was very welcome news to me indeed. Let me express my heartfelt congratulations, Gina. Well, there you are, Hurley. How long have you been here? Oh, Iris. Honestly, I went to the main entrance especially to meet you there. Ah, Iris, my dear. I do apologize. But wait until I tell you what happened. This pair made utter fools of themselves. What happened? As you know, I have a penchant for disguise. I was hiding in this room, dressed as a bailiff. But these dotes didn't notice my presence at all. They had no idea. Can you imagine, Iris, what you credited? I'm not sure, really. I beg your pardon. I'm sorry, Hurley, but you just don't have the weight you presently seem to think you have. In fact, you really ought to be careful about that. It's going to land you in trouble one day. I'll be careful. Ouch. Anyway, it's such a shame. I was so hoping to throw a party for Ginny tonight. But you won't be able to come, will you? Don't look like I'm gonna be going nowhere for a while. You heard the judge's patter. I got stuff to make amends for, apparently. All them offenses. What was it again? Breaking and entering, taking the Bogfooter stuff, what was in luck, blah blah blah. Yes, I think you'll find that basically being a pickpocket is the main offense. But diving ain't an offense. It's a job, innit? I don't think so. Still, it has got me thinking, all this. Maybe I should start looking for another line of work. I mean, you didn't start off as a lawyer, did ya, Otto? Well, no. But I was never a pickpocket. Well, anyway, I reckon I could make a change. Wissen wir eigentlich, was er vorher studiert hat, Ryunosuke? Ich glaube nicht, ne? I'm gonna do something for all them lot like me from the slums. Something that makes a difference for them. That's a wonderful idea, Jimmy, and I'm sure you can do it. Hehehe. What is it? Nothing. Miss Gina Lestrade. The prison carriage has arrived, ma'am. Come with me to rear gate at once. Right. Well, looks like I'm off then. Yes. Goodbye, Gina. And good luck. Otto? Yes? Ah! What was that for? I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say, so... Ah, indeed. Perhaps the situation calls for a phrase hitherto missing from your vocabulary, Mr. Straight. Eh? On occasions such as this, I would recommend a simple thank you. Oh. Oh yes, it's good advice, Ginny. Right, I see. Well... Oh. Thanks, Otto. No. Thank you for everything what you've done, for believing in me. Not at all. In fact, that should be my line. That should be my line. Thank you, Gina. Well, there she goes. I wonder if I'll ever see her again. Well, well, quite the indomitable pig purse. Oh, I nearly forgot. I bought a paper outside. It's a special edition, and this trial is all over the front page. Pickpocket's innocence proven. Isn't it wonderful? You should have shown it to Gina, Iris. She would have been thrilled. Oh no, how silly of me. Ah, but anyway, would you like the good news or the bad news? Not again. Well, what do you say, Uno? Hurley? As usual, I think I'd rather get the bad news out of the way first. Absolutely not. I have no intention of listening to anything but good news. And there you have it. How people answer that question says a lot about them, doesn't it? Let's not go there. Alright then, maybe let's start with the good news this time. The rain has finally stopped. It was a record level of rainfall apparently. Well, that is good news indeed. We can journey back in greater comfort. Alright then, what's the bad news? The huge storm has left the seas very choppy. The channel in particular is awful, so sailings out of Dover have been delayed by a day or more. Als ob, dann können wir Susato noch verabschieden. Wait, Dover? That's right, if we head to the station immediately. We may still make it in time to wave Susie off. But, there won't be a train, surely. We couldn't be that lucky. Who do you think I am, Mr. Naruhodo? Mr. Sholmes. I rushed to Victoria Station earlier and made arrangements for a special express. If we hurry now, we shall be there in time for dinner. And I know of a fine restaurant that serves the most delicious baked sole. I don't... The great detective does it again. Indeed he does. I happen to be aware of a number of the Royal Transport Director's foibles. What? I merely made my knowledge of them known to the man, and he happily laid on the locomotive elementary. Just an idea, but it might be wise to stop manipulating people that way. What are we waiting for then? To London, Victoria! Let's go! '18th April, 5:32 AM, Port of Dover, Quayside. That took somewhat longer than I had anticipated. Susie's boat must be about to leave now. Miss Susato, where are you? Oh, over there! Look! It looks like she's reading something.
Hold it!
Miss Susato, wait! What are you doing? Mr. Naruhodo, what are you doing here? We came as soon as we could after the trial. I mean, we heard that sailings were being delayed due to the bad weather, you see? Oh, I see. Then tell me, how did Gina's trial go? It went well. She was acquitted. That's wonderful. Really wonderful news. The book you were about to throw into the sea. It was your encyclopedia of British law, wasn't it? Oh dear, I was hoping you hadn't seen that. I'm not worthy of practicing law in any way now. So, I was saying my final farewell. Warum sagt sie, dass sie keine gute Assistentin war? You were saying goodbye to law. You, Susato-san. Would I be correct in assuming it's because of the peephole, Miss Susato? I deliberately altered the scene of a crime, ach deswegen, and then I tried to hide the fact. What I did is utterly unforgivable. That reminds me. How did you even come to have this, Susie? On the evening of the incident, Mr. Jones had invited Gina to dinner, if you remember. Oh yes, we had a wonderful time. Well, Gina gave us a little introductory lesson, didn't she? To the art of pickpocketing, I mean. Oh, that was so much fun! I stole Bruno's armband! Yes, please don't do that again, Iris. That band's very important to me. Well, if it's so important, you should pay more attention to it. You didn't notice for ages. On a whim, I thought it would be fun to see if I could take the cat flipper mat. So I put it up my sleeve. Really? And then I rather forgot about it, until I found myself in Mr. Windybank's shop with it later that night. I see. And then... Ah! Mr. Jones! Mr. Jones! Leave me, Mr. Naruhodo. Right. After Mr. Naruhodo had left the shop, I started to think. The door started to play on my mind. The storeroom door, you mean? Yes, if Gina was anywhere in the shop, I realized it could have only be behind that door. And at that moment, the little device that I had up my sleeve sprang to mind. I was so worried about Gina, I simply had to know. So, you used the cat flapper mat to make the peephole in the door. As captured in the photographic print of the end of the shop. By one of Hurley's red-handed recorders. Indeed, it was of the first importance at that point. Precisely when the peephole was made, that information would prove to be Mr. Naruhodo's greatest weapon. Though naturally, without proof, it would have amounted to nothing. But when I looked through the hole in the door, the sight that met my eyes made my blood run cold. Thoughts started to run through my mind. I remembered the trial 2 months earlier, the trial of Magnus McGilden. I thought about how he had manipulated the evidence and arranged false testimony to secure his freedom. It made the British justice system feel very dark and sinister to me. And then a terrible thought occurred to me. What if some wicked criminal was planning to do the same thing now? Because from the appearance of the crime scene, it looked exactly as though Gina had shot Mr. Windybank. Even though I was sure she would never have done such a thing. You were worried that the true culprit would try to frame her for the crime. That's right, but then I realized it would be very difficult for anyone to give false testimony in this case. What do you mean? Well, the crime appeared to have happened behind the door of a locked room. For someone to claim falsely to have witnessed it, there would have to be a way to see beyond the door. Ah! For which a peephole would be the very thing. Only the people I had made wasn't actually there until after the crime had been committed, of course. And the criminal would know that, so it wouldn't make any difference. But the possibility of a rather ingenious trap was there, was it not? A trap. Is that why she did it? So, is that why you kept the secret, Susie? You never mentioned that you made the peephole to anyone, not even to the police. I know, and I knew at the time what I was doing was wrong. A criminal offense, even. That's why I decided to confide in Mr. Sholmes. If Mr. Naruhodo was completely backed into a corner with no other possible means of escape, the truth about the peephole could save him. That was my plan. She really does think of everything. Ja, ich sag doch, Susato Big Brain einfach, die ganze Zeit schon. But then, why didn't you just tell me everything before the trial began? My dear fellow, you're not thinking straight. If you had done that, it would have rendered you complicit in the whole escapade. Ah. You could have been disbarred if you had been seen to have knowingly tampered with the crime scene. So Mr. Sato decided to shoulder the burden of responsibility alone. For your sake, and Mr. Straight's. Mr. Sato. The truth is, when it happened, I did it because I'd lost a little of my faith in the law. Oh. I was worried that the right person wouldn't be convicted of the crime. But the moment I allowed myself to think that, it's the moment I lost my right to call myself a judicial assistant. What you did isn't comparable to what he did. Graydon is the one who lied in the witness stand, using that peephole as a way to implicate Gina. And besides, if the peephole inconsistency hadn't existed, I'm not at all sure that she would have been acquitted in the end. Mr. Sato, what you did saved Gina's life. Well, with your kind words, Mr. Naruhodo, you've saved me too, from my regrets. Well, we must all be thankful that Mr. Straight's freedom has been assured. Yes, exactly. Although some of the loose ends in that trial will continue to play on my mind, I'm sure. But the revelation that the music box disc contained secret messages, Mr. Naruhodo. What a triumph to work that out. I'm full of admiration. Well, actually, that argument wasn't quite as compelling as I thought it was. Oh, it wasn't? There was a communications officer among the jury members, you see, a telegraph operator, and she said that the majority of the sounds on the disc were just meaningless tones. As one would expect, after all, we are talking about secret government communications. No doubt, they were written in cipher to avoid being readily understood, should they have been intercepted. In cipher? I see. So then we could never have hoped to understand the message anyway. Nonsense, my dear fellow. It's quite a zero-pi problem, I assure you. Was? They are written in cipher. Quite a zero-pi problem, I assure you. So... Azogi? What? Well, that can't be a real word, can it? How funny. Wait, Iris, what did you just say? Oh, I just said Azogi. Wait. Azogi? Does that word mean something to you? Mean something? Azogi was the name of my best friend. What? But how? How do you know that name, Iris? I wrote it down during the trial before, when the message was playing in the music box. She transcribed it on the fly. She really is a genius. I thought the message probably wouldn't be written out in plain Morse code, so I tried various ways to interpret it. But whenever I tried, the words just didn't seem to make any sense. Warum ist Asogi auf den Government Secret... Ist Asogi Secret Government Information? That is, in English at least. Oh. It suddenly occurred to me, you see? There's more than one Morse code, not just the English variety. Various countries around the world have altered and added to Morse code to use it in their own language. I don't believe it. Are you saying... That's right. I've only actually seen a chart of Japanese Morse codes once before. But I think it's based on the Aurora pangram, isn't it? And you mean that in Japanese Morse code the message says Azogi? Yes, I think so. Sorry, but I don't remember all of the Japanese Morse code. Iris, would you let me see that? Mr. Sato, do you know it? Do you know Japanese Morse code? Yes, I spent some time studying it. Because I'm quite sure Morse code will become ever more important for international communication. Then might I recommend, my dear madam, that you focus your efforts on the English version. Be that as it may, Iris, show me the message, please. Okay, of course. Was sagt es denn jetzt? But what can this possibly mean? Whatever is in that long sequence of supposedly meaningless dots and dashes. It's made the color drain from Susato-san's face. There's no doubt that this message is written in Japanese Morse code. So the British Empire has been using Japanese for its secret communications. I don't understand the reason why, but the message appears to be a list of 4 people's names. Okay, 4 Leute. 4 names. The first is Kei Azogi. Kazuma Azogi. Why? Why was his name on the disc? The second is R. Shin. Shin. I don't recognize that name. The third is T. Gergu-san. Gregson? Ah, it would seem Tobias Gregson is the third man on the list. And what's his name doing in the secret government communication as well? And the last name. What's the matter, Mr. Sato? It's just so strange, so unexpected. Oh, what is it, Suki? Don't keep us in suspense. The last name is J. Wilson. John Wilson. What? Wilson. John H. Wilson. You mean Daddy? It says only J. Wilson, so I'm afraid I can't be sure. Then, after the 4 names, it reads, if I translate from Japanese, this is all 4. And that's the end of the message. Or rather, the end of what you noted down, Iris. I just can't believe it. Who would ever have thought that those discs contained Japanese Morse code? Not to mention a strange list of some disturbingly familiar names. It would appear that this particular message is a communication of, some kind between Great Britain and the Empire of Japan. So, Daddy could be in Japan then. Where Susie and Bruno come from? Oh, well. No. It's not very likely really, is it? I mean, there are thousands of people with the surname Wilson, and there must be lots of J's among them. Professor John H. Wilson, visiting professor of medicine at the Imperial Yume University. But we can't tell Iris about them now. We just can't. This is so strange. Somehow, in solving the case of Mr. Windybank's murder today, I feel I have rolled back a boulder at the mouth of a very dark cave. I do wonder if perhaps it's a dark cave that we shouldn't go wandering inside. Ich glaube, das ist was für den zweiten Teil. Oh yeah. Oh dear, the ship is going to set sail soon. Was war der letzte Name nochmal? Also John Wilson, Kazumi Gregson und A. Shin. Okay. Oh dear, the ship is going to get sail soon. Yes, it seems so. I'll sail on that steamship, first to the port of Dunkirk in France. Then I'll change onto a larger passenger vessel bound for Japan. You're really going then, Susie. We wish you a safe passage, Mr. Sato. Thank you so much. I wish all of you the very best. Mr. Sato, I had hoped to have you always at my side, to guide me and support me. Mr. Naruhodo, please, come back soon. As far as I'm concerned, you really are the very best judicial assistant in the world. I'm quite sure. I'll be back before you know it. Really, Susie? Oh, now don't forget, Iris. I made you a promise I've yet to fulfill. A promise? About your manuscript. Ah. Oh yes, the Hound of the Baskervilles. Well, I'll be waiting for you then, Susie. A promise is a promise. Definitely, Iris. Wir wissen es also immer noch nicht, warum sie den Namen wusste. Mr. Naruhodo. Yes? Do you remember the first time we met? Yes, of course. On the SS Boya when I was dragged out from the wardrobe, still half asleep. If I remember rightly, you threw me halfway across the cabin with a Susato takedown. You know very well that I'm talking about after that. It's strange, but being thrown together as we were in that case, I somehow felt straight away that you were the perfect person to continue Kazuma-sama's great legacy. Wir haben uns doch aber auch schon im ersten Fall gesehen, das stimmt ja nicht. Miss Susato, aber trotzdem nette Worte. And my instincts were right. I really want to believe. No, I'm sure that. I'll be back soon. Farewell until then.
Somehow we seem to have come to the end of the adventures of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Or the first volume, at least. Looking back now, it feels as though fate has led me on this journey. Fate led me to becoming a lawyer, to traveling halfway around the world, to meeting the great detective. I'm sure there'll be trials and tribulations ahead. Of course there will. But whatever happens, I know I'll be able to turn my fortunes around. After all, I have the greatest friends in the world on my side.
Ah, yes, Mr. Naruhodo. Okay, das war eine sehr schöne Cutscene. Yes, Mr. Sholmes. I have some rather awkward news. The railway company has decided to sue you over the special train, apparently. Huh? Oh, it's just this classic her ending. It caused such a commotion on the line. All the other trains had to wait at stations. But really, we would never have made it to Dover in time otherwise. Anyway, I explained everything and how it was all your fault. Huh? Huh? Ja, jetzt ist das Classic Her Ending, das ist doch immer auch bei Ace Attorney, bei dem bei Phoenix. I believe a formal complaint should be delivered to your office tomorrow. But not to worry, my dear fellow. According to Mr. Sato, you love defending yourself in court. Huh? 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 It's alright, I'm perfectly happy to testify. He really didn't look like the sort of man who'd do something so outrageous. See? Okay. Ich glaube, wir sind nah dem Ende. Und ja, ich wird schon mal meine Facecam ausmachen. Ich sag gleich nochmal was, also dranbleiben, ne? Aber ich werde fürs Erste meine Facecam ausmachen. Mr. Sholmes. Yes. A word, if you don't mind. Why, certainly. Any word you like. Bellow it out, my dear fellow. Oh yes, I love Windows words, and I know just the one he'll use here. Then, I really must say...
Objection!
In the following weeks, hundreds of music boxes arrived at Baker Street from all over Europe. Something was afoot, though it transpired I had ordered them all myself. So I advertised them for sale was used by Mr. Sholmes to solve an important case, and the money I've earned, consulting detective work pays a pittance by comparison. Ah! I haven't slept a wink. This manuscript is due tomorrow now. When I'm this busy, Hurley usually cooks me breakfast. Well, cooks is an overstatement for some dry toast and insipid coffee. I do miss Susie and a lovely Japanese breakfast. Witness, your testimony is riddled with contradictions. Exactly, rarely do rare Cohen coins hide under rare stakes themselves. Well, I don't know, sir. Knows his father is an innocent man. Or are you calling my son a liar? Witnesses, my courtroom is no place for your petty arguments. Having delivered the Russian dancer to shore in Shanghai, I laid low on the steamship for a while. But last night, I apprehended an extremely suspicious Japanese national on board. I've done nothing wrong! All I did was give Wagahagi's offspring refuge in my pocket. A man brings some kittens on board and suddenly he's a hardened criminal. It's not fair. Scientific investigation will be the gold standard for policing in this new age. I dream of a world governed by the tenets of order and discipline. Like a great clock, in fact, whose hundreds of parts mesh together in perfect unison. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have but 2 minutes and 37 seconds until my next appointment. The latest Rance magazine is out, and I'm in it again. Whenever I say that one line she wrote now, I get a standing ovation. Wanna hear it? Not bad, I suppose, for an amateur. Huh. Her ladyship puts me to shame. Been visiting the old girl on a daily basis, of course. Joni, my old jailbird. Must say, battling with those bally stairs every day has done wonders for the dicky pack. Managing rather well with the housework too. Got this maid business taped up, I'd say. Hope the gossiping neighbors don't realize the man of the house is his own maid. My Rolly is back on the beat again, all thanks to the Reaper. There's nothing I enjoy more these days than hunting out small change in the gutter. I'm a better Bobby now, looking out for Londoners that dropped pennies and my lovely wife. Oh, Pat. Oh, Rolly. Looks like I'm gonna be doing time for a bit now. But Iris comes every day for a netta, so it ain't too boring. She's always going on about all them cases what Jones is looking into. Criminal investigations are kind of interesting, when you get into them. Yes, I renounced my upbringing and chose a life of sophisticated crime, but regrets? Please. Give over, bruv, that ain't the Ash we used to know. We got time in yet to plan the comeback of Milverton and Skulk and Milk One, right? The three Muskewattses. Milking the neighborhood for all it's worth. This past 6 months has been a time I shall remember forevermore. Painful goodbyes and wonderful encounters. I've come to realize that's what life is all about. Naruhodo-san, I promise. Your assistant will return to you one day. But for now, I leave you with many memories and a heartfelt wish that life will treat you well. Wow. Wow. Okay, jetzt kommt hier scheinbar noch ein Abspann, weil so ein Game mit solchen Animationen und so natürlich noch viel mehr hat, als nur so wenige Leute, die in so einen Abspann passen. Deswegen kommt hier nochmal so ein Abspann, wo wir scheinbar an allen Leuten nochmal vorbeilaufen mit Kazuma und Ryunosuke. Ja, krass. Krasses Spiel. Und ich glaube, all das, was wir jetzt in diesem Spiel hatten, zumindest fühlt es sich im Moment so an, war halt alles Setup. Es war alles Setup für den zweiten Teil, denke ich mal. Weil ein paar Sachen sind ja noch ungeklärt. Was hat das mit diesem Cypher-Code auf sich, wo Kazumas Name drauf stand, wo Gregsons Name drauf stand, wo die anderen Namen drauf standen, Wilson ja auch, beziehungsweise Dr. Watson, je nachdem. Und ja, es fühlte sich sehr, sehr nach Setup an. Auch der letzte Fall. Ich habe ja gestern gesagt, als ich um 4 ins Bett gegangen bin, irgendwie fühlt sich das nicht wie ein Finalfall an. Am Ende war es doch, hat es ein paar Sachen connected, aber bei weitem nicht alles. Dass McGilded nochmal vorkam, war cool. Dass wir diesen, ja, quasi die Wahrheit hinter diesem Fall erfahren haben, aber es fühlte sich trotzdem nicht, diese Pawnbrokery, das fühlte sich nicht wie ein gutes Setting für ein Finale an. Und ich glaube, es sollte auch kein würdiges Finale sein, außer von der Länge her. Oh, da ist Kazuma weg, weil er tot ist, okay. Es fühlte sich wie kein wirkliches Finale an, außer von der Länge her, wie gesagt. Und halt am Ende noch Susato jetzt weg. Das hat ein bisschen was von Maya, die ja auch verschwindet im ersten Teil, nachdem sie das Gefühl hat, dass sie keine gute Assistentin ist, weil sie Mia nicht channeln konnte. Im letzten Fall, quasi gegen Manfred von Karma. Und hier geht Susato ja, naja, sie hat nicht für den Grund, aber sie fühlt sich genauso wie Maya. Susato geht halt schließlich, weil es ihrem Vater nicht gut geht, aber in ihr geht Ähnliches vor wie Maya, nämlich, dass sie kein guter Assistent ist oder keine gute Assistentin. Das finde ich sehr interessant, diese Ähnlichkeit. Ich glaube, das ist das richtige Wort. Und da haben wir gerade Lord Strongheart gesehen, den Justice Minister da. Und ich glaube, der wird auch noch wichtig. Ich habe eher was erwartet in die Richtung, dass sowas, dieses große Justice-System, halt irgendwie kriminell aufgedeckt wird. Sowas in der Art. Aber vielleicht auch ganz gut, dass ich falsch lag. Vielleicht wird es ja im zweiten Teil noch der Fall sein, weil hier war wirklich der Fokus auf McGilde größtenteils, ne? Und auf diese Government Secrets, wo wir jetzt zwar wissen, was sie gesagt haben, aber nicht die Bedeutung dahinter wissen. Das wird ja auch noch wichtig. Genauso wie Susato die Dings wusste. Die wie hieß es? Den Titel von The Hound of Baskerville, obwohl es noch gar nicht veröffentlicht wurde und sie es nicht hätte wissen können. Das müssen wir ja auch noch irgendwie erfahren. Ja, ansonsten die Charaktere Ryunosuke. Wir wissen eigentlich relativ wenig über ihn, ne? Also er hat eine gute Charakterentwicklung durchgemacht, dass er von einem Studenten, der selbst quasi angeklagt wurde, zu dem geworden ist, was er jetzt ist, halt ein großartiger Ace Attorney, ne? Großartiger Assanwalt. Und ja, genauso wenig haben wir über Barock van Siegs was erfahren. Wir wissen, dass er diesen Fluch hat, dass die Leute halt sterben, die freigesprochen werden von ihm, aber scheinbar auch nicht. Halt nur die wirklich was getan haben. Scheinbar. Ich weiß nicht, das ist jetzt meine Theorie. Und ansonsten glaube ich auch, diese Konversation nach dem Gerichtsfall, nach der Gerichtsverhandlung, das war, glaube ich, auch Setup für den nächsten Teil. Dass wir im nächsten Teil auch mehr über Barock erfahren. Auf jeden Fall, denke ich mal. Ja. Sherlock Holmes, ja, der war sehr, sehr cool. Ich mochte seine Sequenzen, The Dance of Deduction. Ich glaube, das war mein Lieblings-neues Gameplay-Element da drin. On the other side haben wir diese Summation Examination, die ich ehrlich gesagt ein bisschen lächerlich fand. So, am Anfang fand ich die noch cool, aber dann, dass die immer wieder kamen, auch wenn die schon 3-4 Mal gesagt haben, dass es steht, oh, Capcom. Okay. Toll. Schönes Spiel. Und danke auch für die Lokalisation, ne? The Great Ace Attorney Adventures Fan. Danke Capcom, dass ihr das endlich in den Westen gebracht habt. Dankeschön. Danke. Man hat 6 Jahre darauf gewartet und ja, es hat sich bisher gelohnt. Oh, was ist das? Okay. Was war das Bild jetzt? Ja, okay, dann sieht man mich ja auch. Also ja, danke Capcom, dass ihr das in den Westen gebracht habt. Dankeschön. Und ja, was soll ich sagen? Summation Examination fand ich nachher ein bisschen lächerlich, weil man wurde schon 3-4 Mal guilty gesprochen, übertrieben gesagt. Man hat dann immer noch die Chance auf diese Summation Examination. Und auf der anderen Seite war einfach die Staatsanwaltschaft, die gar nichts hatte, wenn die Geschworenen sagen, not guilty, so. Dann war es einfach so. Und das fand ich ein bisschen, ja, ich glaube, man kann sagen, overpowered, ne? Das fand ich ein bisschen overpowered. Ansonsten fand ich es auch interessant, wie sie Iris im Trailer als Hauptcharakter beworben haben und sie letztendlich ja auch ein Hauptcharakter ist, aber als sie erst im 4. Fall so richtig auftauchte. Gut, wir können jetzt den 3. Fall nehmen, da ist sie am Ende aufgetaucht, als sie diese Rauchbombe halt, so revealed wurde, dass sie diese Rauchbombe entwickelt hat. Aber ja. Und ansonsten, ja, schönes Spiel. Und ich denke mal, ich hoffe mal, dass der Payoff von dem allen, was jetzt hier aufgebaut wurde, tatsächlich in Teil 2 kommt. Und ich denke mal, das wird auch so kommen. Ich habe gehört, Teil 1 ist super, Teil 1 ist toll, aber Teil 2 soll wohl ein Meisterwerk sein, laut einigen Japanern. Also es soll zu den Besten der Serie gehören. Da bin ich dann also mal gespannt. Das werden wir dann aber später spielen, weil ich muss jetzt erstmal, das ist höchste Zeit für mich in Urlaub, also wirklich in einer Stunde sitze ich schon im Auto, dann bin ich auf dem Weg in Urlaub. In Harz kann ich ja jetzt sagen, das seht ihr ja erst im September. Und ja, krass. Ich bedanke mich auch für euch, bei euch fürs Zuschauen. Ich weiß ja nicht, ob ihr überhaupt welche zugeschaut haben. Aber wenn ja, bedanke mich fürs Zuschauen, bedanke mich fürs dabei sein. Ich habe dieses Teil von Dienstag bis Samstag durchgesuchtet. Und ihr habt gesehen, ihr seht, wie lang das war. Ich weiß nicht. Ich schätze, es sind jetzt 70 Parts. So um und bei. Vielleicht sogar noch mehr. Ich weiß es nicht. Der letzte Fall war nochmal sehr, sehr lang. Was teilweise auch nervig war, fand ich. Wie gesagt. Aber gut. Ja. Vielen Dank fürs dabei sein. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen. Es ist irgendwie insane. Ich habe das in einer Woche aufgenommen. Und das wird weit bis in den September reingehen. Wenn nicht sogar noch bis Oktober, dieses Let's Play. Also das wird auf jeden Fall in September reingehen. Teil 3, Episode 3 endet irgendwann Ende August. Also das wird safe Mitte, Ende September, wenn nicht Anfang Oktober erst enden. Aber ja, trotzdem, ich wünsche euch einen schönen Herbst. Obwohl für mich jetzt gerade noch Sommer ist. Und ja, ich bedanke mich fürs dabei sein. Ich bedanke mich für alles. Und danke an Capcom auch, dass ihr dieses Spiel endlich released habt. Was passiert jetzt, wenn ich auf Continue gehe eigentlich? Ah, okay, dann kommt der letzte Save Point. Okay. Dann bedanke ich mich fürs Zuschauen, bedanke mich fürs dabei sein, wie gesagt. Und ja. Ihr könnt gerne schreiben, was eure Meinung von dem Game ist. Wäre ich sehr gespannt. Ich glaube gerade der letzte Fall, also weiß ich nicht. Ich fand, der war nicht wirklich. Er war schon würdig für den letzten Fall, aber es gab auf jeden Fall bessere letzte Fälle. Auf jeden Fall. Auf jeden Fall auch die, die wir schon gesehen haben on Stream. Aber ja, nichtsdestotrotz war es ein schönes Spiel. Ich mochte die Charaktere gerne, ich mochte alles gerne. Vor allem Sherlock Holmes auch. Und ja, mal gucken, wie es weitergeht im nächsten Teil. Keine Ahnung. Ich denke mal, hier werden 2 Wochen Delay oder so drin sein, bevor wir den nächsten Teil spielen. Aber das werdet ihr dann ja sehen und ich werde es ja sicherlich auch nochmal irgendwie ankündigen. Gut, Leute. Dann macht's gut, schlaft gut und so weiter, ne? Habt einen schönen Herbst und, ja. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen, vielen Dank fürs dabei sein, wie gesagt. Und Tüdeli und so. Und ein letztes Mal für dieses Let's Play. Nicht für immer, wir haben noch einen zweiten Teil, also für dieses Let's Play. Ein letztes Mal Einspruch. Die Musik ist richtig geil. Ja, ciao, ciao, Einspruch und so, Moment mal und goodbye.